What's up, everyone? This is Elijah with the Side Hustler Society, and I really struggled on if I was going to put this video on the Side Hustler Society or Financial Anatomy, but I think it ultimately belongs here because of a few reasons that we're going to get into. Now, right off the bat, I do want to apologize for the lack of videos on both channels. I've actually been in the process of moving for the past 1 to 2 weeks, and it's not completely finished because I have stuff in storage that I need to get moved, primarily the stuff that I have in my set, the bookcase, the desk, all that good stuff. But videos are coming back soon, and even if I can't get it sorted out within a week, we're going to start making videos in the car because that is where the channel started. Y'all remember back in the Uber lifestyle days, so if we got to go back to this for a while, I got no problem doing that. That's enough housekeeping. Y'all want to know exactly why I bought a new car because that's the title of the video. So let's go ahead and get into it. I want to start off by saying that most people, when they get a new car, it's usually for a variety of reasons, and they have a variety of emotions that's running through their body, depending on those reasons. Some people get a new car because they have to get a new car. Their old one broke down, and they need a way to get from point A to point B, so they're in a position of need. Some people get a new car because they're on an emotional high, and they want a new present to themselves. Some people get a new car because they just feel like it's time for a new one. And honestly, I don't think I really fit in any of those. If anything, I probably fit closer to the last one. But I'm going to tell you right now that overall, getting a new car wasn't an overly emotional experience for me, although I did enjoy it after I did buy it. I got the same car and make that I got before, just the 2024 version, because I really like the gas mileage on this thing. And to be honest, I've always preferred smaller cars you can maneuver between things, and they have kind of like race-like qualities. Not literally like race cars, but smaller cars tend to be more maneuverable and better on gas. And that is going to tie into why I got the car. So this video is going to be separated into 3 sections. First section is why I got the car, which is what y'all want to know, most of y'all. But there's 2 other sections that are going to be a little more emotional to me because I have a history with cars that's very relevant here. The next section after that is going to be my experience buying my previous car, and my experience buying this car, and then my final thoughts. So let's go ahead and get into why I got this new car. So right off the bat, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at notes. My old car was starting to get old. It's almost 10 years old. I bought it in 2015, so it's a Mitsubishi Mirage 2015. And it was a great car for the time. It was a new car at the time. And I'm not going to say I ran it into the ground because that's not completely true. I mean, I probably could have got another year out of it, but it was starting to get to the point to where like stuff was going to keep requiring like to be fixed. And I never liked that feeling when it comes to cars. I would rather just go ahead and get another car because I have to reliably in my head be able to go from point A to point B without thinking about is something going to break down or anything like that, or thinking about I need to keep replacing stuff because that can end up a pretty weird financial quagmire I have no interest in getting involved in. So that's the first reason. The second reason is the situation is very different from the other times I've needed a car. Well, let's start off by analyzing what I just said. I didn't actually need it yet, and that's very pivotal. I mean, the last few times I got a car, which I'll get into in another section, I needed a car. Versus here, Mitsubishi actually sent me a letter basically saying like, hey, we're willing to pay you more for your current Mitsubishi Mirage because of this, and this, and we can offer this and blah, 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 blah. So since they were willing to offer more than the market value for my old car at that time, I thought this might be a chance to just swing by the dealership and see what they have to say. Maybe I'll get a new car, maybe I won't. But since they presented me with the opportunity, I wasn't going to ignore it. Next reason is I've actually been flirting with the idea of getting back into the gig economy, specifically rideshare. Now, I know the delivery boys are like, Elijah, you abandoning delivery? No. I'm still going to keep doing delivery like in my spare time. I love knocking out audiobooks. But I have said this in the past when I was doing the delivery content heavily. I liked rideshare more, okay? I jumped on delivery stuff from a content perspective and even doing it because the opportunity was there. No one was talking about Uber Eats in such detail. So there's a void in the market I felt needed filling. Versus rideshare channels, there was like a dime a dozen. It's pretty much covered. I still spoke about rideshare at some points, but but I do actually like rideshare more. I'm a people person. I love talking to college students and their experiences while I take them from point A to point B. I love the airport trips I used to have with business executives, accountants, lawyers, people on vacation, and we would talk about all kinds of things. And once they realized that I was more than just a Uber driver, I got big tips, and some of them actually became subscribers to the Uber lifestyle at the time, which switched to the app lifestyle, which is now known as the Side Hustler Society. But honestly, I miss that. And this time around, I have so much more to share with people. I mean, before, essentially, all I had was obviously I was an Uber driver, but I had the YouTube channel, the Uber Lifestyle, which if they had an interest in becoming a driver, they could check out and I'd let them know about it. But this time around, it's so much different. That's still valid what I said, but there's more content on this channel, specifically helping people get a trade or skill. I have the Side Hustler Society podcast where I interview people about various things in business and also freelancing. I have financial anatomy that can teach people how to build their credit, which I'm actually going to get into in a sec, but how to build credit, how to turn their credit around if it's been janky for the past few years, investing. And I'm also a freelance video editor where, provided you can pay me, I can actually take a piece of footage that you have, clean it up, make it look fancy, add B footage, and get it back to you so you can use it for a better media representation of what you want to do with it. That applies to podcasts, weddings, whatever. And to be honest, there's some other stuff that I could get into too, but I don't want to drag this section out. So I have a lot more to share with Rideshare this time around, because people get in the car and 80% of them are going to ask you, so what else do you do other than Uber? Just because they're curious. Well, I got a lot to share with them. And I'm probably going to reach 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year if I really start getting into the rideshare heavily, because, I got some tactics I'm going to be using, like QR codes, but yeah, I'm going to save that for later. Next reason why I got a new car. Now, I don't want y'all to hold me to this because I'm still iffy on this, but I've actually been thinking about doing Turo. So shout out to Yuli from Engineer Your Life. But as some of y'all know, I had her on the podcast, and she's kind of a Turo guru. And she's breaking down how much money you can make and this and that. And if you want to see that podcast episode, you can check the link out in the description or in the card right now. But it really intrigued me because it was very similar to Airbnb, which is something I have going on. I forgot to mention that with the rideshare thing, but if someone's in town for vacation and they're not feeling where they're staying, I could probably talk them into staying at one of my properties, but I digress. But yeah, the way Turo's run is very similar to Airbnb in terms of a platform, so it wouldn't really be a new learning experience. And my older car, if you have over 100,000 miles, then you can't list it on the Turo platform. Now, I say iffy with this because I like to test things out before I go with incorporating, like putting some in the LLC or incorporating into an S corp, because like, what if I don't like it, then I stop, and there's a lot of administration work for nothing, and then I have to dissolve the business. So I like to try it myself personally for maybe the first year. It goes smooth, then I'll go ahead and do that. With Turo, that wouldn't be an option, because if someone gets in a wreck, then essentially you're going to be your personal insurance for the very foreseeable future in terms of rates, and maybe even getting insurance is going to be fucked. Yeah, I don't have that much interest or faith in people to drive my personal car, because if they do wreck it, oh man, that's going to be a problem. Now, versus if I incorporate, then that will require its own commercial insurance, and it wouldn't affect my insurance rates at all. So that would need to be done first, and I don't know how I feel about that. So I just thought I'd mention it. But those are the reasons I got a new car. And you might realize that none of the reasons were emotional, and that's where we're going to get into my experience with my previous car and this current car, and this is where it's going to get emotional. So my history of cars, I've had 3 cars in my whole lifetime, and I'm 32 years old. And some people might consider that crazy, but I take care of my cars. When something's wrong, I jump on it immediately. Switch the battery out. If spark plugs, like just anything, I get it taken care of. And switching cars like every 1 to 2 years, I'm not one of those people. In fact, I'm someone that typically will buy a car in cash if possible, or if it's finance, I want to pay it off as soon as possible because I'm allergic to car note. Once you have not had a car note for a while and you just start putting that extra money in somewhere more productive, oh man, it just makes such a big difference. And that plays a big role in why I'm kind of choking up here. I apologize. But that kind of plays a big role in my last car. Because the first car I ever got was a Honda Civic 2001. And I bought that when I was a junior in high school. And that was around 2009. And it lasted essentially to 2015. But, stuff started going wrong. Transmission went out. And it was time to get a new car. And at the time, this was back when I was working at Amazon, so I needed a way to get to Amazon. And I actually was also working, it was only for like 2.5 weeks, but I was also working at Walmart too. So I really needed a way to get around. I was having to call my mom to pick me up, and that just wasn't going to work. So what ended up happening was she took me to the dealership, and I just dreaded the whole time because I honestly didn't have the money for a down payment. And as y'all know, if y'all watched my credit video where I went from 535 to over 700 credit, back then it was actually lower. It's like in the 400s because I was a victim of a credit scam. I'm not going to go into that because you can watch that video if you want more information. But yeah, I just dreaded it the whole time. I'm sitting there with the sales representative, and it was going through this and that, and I was just so dreadful. I was still cordial with him, but I think everyone in the room just could tell I didn't want to be there. So he came back with numbers saying that, they can offer me something, which is the Mitsubishi Mirage 2015, but because the credit is this and that, you would need a cosigner. So my mom was willing to cosign, and I just didn't like the way that felt. And I initially ended up getting it with an unfavorable interest rate. I think it was like over 20%. And I was able to drive off in a new car with nothing down. And they did pick up the 2000, the Honda Civic, or what was left of it, because it wasn't mobile at that point. And that was my experience with the 2015 Mitsubishi Mirage. And once I paid that off, which was 5 years later, the term was 72 months. And about a year before I paid it off, I actually just opened the paperwork and saw how much I was really paying. Because, this is the younger me, just getting involved in stuff that I already didn't want to be there. So looking at the paperwork was something I just kind of dreaded doing. Eventually I did it, in my opinion, too late. But I saw how much I ended up paying. I mean, do the math. 20% interest, you're buying a new car. Yeah, I was just so like, wow, this stuff is extortion. But technically it's not, because I agreed to it. And even if I knew when I bought it, it wasn't going to be better any other place in that situation. So I don't regret doing it. It's just, I was shocked. So when that was paid off, man, I felt so liberated. And that is pretty much my experience with buying my previous car. As you can tell, it was an emotional experience, but not in a favorable way. So let's change the tone and talk about my experience this time, because it's a much more positive experience. First off, like I said, I went there because they mailed me a letter. Now, I was thinking about getting a new car within the next 4 to 5 months anyway, because of what I told you. But I got the letter, so I thought I'd swing by. In fact, I literally said verbatim when I pulled up, and the sales representative walked up, and I guess he saw me pull up like, no, that one's mine. Like, y'all stay away. He's mine. I saw him first. But I pulled the letter out and said, okay, so I decided to come because I saw this letter that y'all having this event today, and I found it intriguing. So he said, what car would I be interested in? And I told him Mitsubishi Mirage, the 2024 version of what I have. And we test drove a few. There is a more premium version, which is what I have. And then there's the standard version, which is the 2024 version of what I had. And we did some test drives, and then he just asked the typical questions of what do you do and all this and etc. And the tone was so different because I was different. See, the sales guy, the first time around when I bought the first Mitsubishi, he was jovial and friendly and stuff. I was just energy low because I didn't want to be there. This time I was just indifferent, like, hey, I'm genuinely intrigued on what y'all got. So, this guy is a different guy, just so you know. But he was the same as the other guy, jovial, friendly, joking. And I was joking with him. I mean, I was up there for a while because the process of buying the new car and it's going to take a while. So it's like maybe 2 or 3 hours. And we were joking the whole time. We both like video games. We both like anime. We talked about like various games like Final Fantasy and Red Dead Redemption. I told him about my YouTube channel and he subscribed to it, and specifically this one, the Side Hustler Society. And it was pretty cool, but it was so different from the first time. What was different from this experience also is obviously the good credit. I was walking in there with leverage, which felt so good, and that's something I want for all of you. And we're going to get into that in my final thoughts. But next, with that leverage, even though I had leverage, that doesn't mean that they respect it right away. They want to see you apply it. So essentially, I was looking to trade in my old car because, to be honest, for me to get rid of it would be more effort that I'm willing to put in. I would have to get some stuff fixed up and then officially sell it. Because like I said, it only has maybe a year worth of runtime. And if it's able to get traded in for something decent, then that's my preferable outcome. And these cats walked out after he said his appraiser had drove the car and evaluated. They said, okay, so there's several things that need fixed on it. So we could give you $500 that would go towards a down payment for this new car. And I just looked at him and said, well, I'm gonna be honest. Like, it sounds like there's no value in giving y'all the car at all. We might as well be having a conversation about financing it without the car in the equation. And like I said, I was thinking about doing that in a few months, but that's something I'm probably not going to do today because, like I said, that's in the plan a few months. He said, well, how much would you want for it? I said, give me the numbers without it and give me the numbers with it, but we need to increase that number to at least 2,000 at the very least. He said, okay, let me see what I can do. So he goes back there. He's gone for like 10 or 15 minutes. He comes back. Okay, so we could do this, and we can give you the $2,000 for the car trade-in, which, let's be honest, it's my personal opinion that they just went back there and just talked about something else for 10 minutes and came out like, yeah, he's not going to fall for that. He's just going to get up and leave. Let's actually give him something semi-decent for the trade-in. And they what they were doing. But the point is, I knew that, and I had leverage. So they come back, and they start talking about the financing and the payments and the fact that because of the 700 credit score, I qualify for 0.99 interest rate, which obviously is good. And it just was a very interesting experience because I'm comparing that to the last time I was there, which was having to deal with the 20% interest rate. And to be honest, this goes into the plan too, because I don't plan on having a car note that long. I still don't like it. I know what you're thinking. What about the interest? I don't care. In 5 months, I plan on paying this off. So anything that this car generates is going to be profit. And once it's paid off, I'll just have another stream of income that will help me bring y'all content, because I can tell some of y'all still want the gig content, but I am still going to be making the content for helping freelancers out and helping them get more clients, because ultimately that's where I want people to go. I want them to have a trader skill that they can leverage so that things will just run smoother in their life financially. So with that being said, let's get into my final thoughts. My final thoughts, I was hesitant to share this because I actually didn't really feel like getting a new car was a big deal emotionally. It was more of a business decision, but I like to share aspects of my life with y'all when there's a teachable moment. And I just shared everything that was a teachable moment. But the power of having leverage and having the freedom to apply that leverage is so powerful, and that's what I want for every one of you. That's why I make these these videos like on financial anatomy, how to clean up your credit. Here, how to get a trader skill, how to start your own business so you can ultimately take control back of your life. Because a lot of times we're thrust in these situations where we just don't have any control and we have to go along with the flow, even if that flow isn't friendly in the least. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Um, Even though I took notes, this is more of a freestyle video. But the most important thing to take back is I am back. And like I said, videos will start coming back out, even if I do have to do them in here for a little while until I finish with the moving process. But I'm excited. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next video. Be safe, be profitable, and don't forget to check out the content on the channel if you want to learn more about the gig economy or generating leads for your freelance business. I'll see y'all later. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another video produced by the Sawduster Society, and of course, I'm your host, Elijah. In this video, I'm actually glad to really be diving back into the gig economy to a certain extent because I know y'all want more content about that. If you want to know the story on why I'm back in the gig economy, you can check this video out that's on the screen. But I want to start a new series that's going to kind of appease like a lot of the old school fans or people that have been with me since the beginning, the app lifestyle days, and also the people who are subscribed that really want to know about all side hustles and developing the trader skill. So regardless of which camp you fall into, most people will probably find themselves playing around with the gig economy, whether it be Uber Eats or Doordash or Rideshare, Uber, Lyft, etc. So this video is going to be the first in the series to really show you exactly how to maximize your money in the gig economy, whether you be a delivery driver or a rideshare driver. And for you delivery drivers, you might be wondering, why does it matter for me to know anything about rideshare if you're not going to do it? It actually has value because there are two things that influence how much money you're going to make that are outside of your control, but if you know what's going on, you can use it to your advantage. That is the demand, which means how many people are requesting deliveries or how many people are requesting rides, and the amount of drivers, whether it be rideshare or delivery drivers on the road. So if it's popping on rideshare and you know that, there's less drivers delivering because most rideshare drivers will pick rideshare over delivery, which means it might be a good time for you to get out there and drive. So regardless of who you are, you can take some away from this video. As usual, I'll be looking down to check out my notes. But like I said, you got to keep in mind that everything I'm going to talk about in this series is based on that demand and driver balance. So this video is going to be focusing on the daily cycle of the gig economy. So what times are best to drive and do what during what times? So for those of y'all that are morning birds, like really morning birds, like if you had a corporate job, you'd be getting up early in the morning to start head towards this, or if your first shift in some kind of warehouse job, you might be able to get down with this. But between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. is a great time to actually do rideshare, because that time frame is when people need rides to their work. And if you want to push it a little earlier, airport requests tend to start at 4 a.m. So if you're willing to get up that early, you will find some people that need to get a Lyft, no pun intended, or Uber or Lyft to the airport. So if you're willing to get up that early, then you can take advantage of rideshare during that time frame. Now there is a drawback, and the drawback is you're going to bump into these people that are letting their kids Uber or ordering Uber for their kids to take them to school, like elementary kids and middle school kids. I personally have no interest in doing that. I'm just letting you know that that does come with driving during these times. But the good news is we can see where we're going. So if you see some ping that's going to a school, which I'm going to zoom in to see if it's going to a school, you know not to take it if you don't want to do it. Keep in mind, though, it could be a teacher Ubering, but I just don't want to take that chance. Moving on throughout the day, the next time of activity when it comes to the gig economy is for delivery drivers between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Although if you wanted to, you could actually push 11 a.m. back to 10 a.m. because sometimes in some areas there are people who are still ordering breakfast. They will start picking up during that time frame. Just keep in mind that most restaurants don't open until 11 a.m. That's when all restaurants tend to be open. So your options will be limited. So check your Uber Eats app like around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. just to see what's open. And that can help to inform you where you want to kind of set up shop as far as getting your pings. For example, if there's a string of Denny's and IHOPs kind of like in this immediate area, like a circle, where you want to center yourself in the middle because those spots will be open for the breakfast time of 10 a.m. But minus that, after 11 a.m., everything is fair game. Just keep in mind that people will be ordering lunch during this time, so the restaurants that have a lunch theme tend to get more requests. What is that? Like, let's say Subway is a good example, Quiznos, but just keep in mind that those are the restaurants that will probably be getting the more pings. But take some feedback in your local area on what restaurants are popping, and that can help to inform you on where to set up shop. Now, it tends to be slow for rideshare during this time frame, so if you are going to do it, then you should probably be wanting longer rides, because the longer someone is in your back seat, the more money you're making. And I didn't say this about the 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., but generally speaking, you kind of want short rides. And what's a short ride? You know, I say anything under 5 miles would be a short ride. So you can go ahead and drop them off and move on to your next delivery, and you could get the maximum benefit off of surge. Since surge is now, what do they call it? Flat rate surge instead of the surge that is calculated per mile. Once that passes, there's a universal dead time between 2 and 4, which is usually just nothing is going on. No ride share, no delivery. So this is actually a great time for you to get something to eat. And anytime there's a gap between time periods where not much is going on, like there was another gap I didn't cover between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. where it's just kind of slow on everything. That's always a good time for you to take yourself or take a rest yourself and grab something to eat. But the next time period that starts to pick up again is rideshare between 4 a.m. and 7 p.m. This is when those people that you took to work, they need an Uber or Lyft home. So I'm pretty sure you're happy to help them out with that. Once again, during this time period, it'd be awesome if you can get a lot of short rides so you can maximize the profits. Although there are a lot of people going to the airport during this time period too. So just keep that in mind if you want to entertain that or not. During this time period, the airport is kind of on my way home, so I'm a little biased. But the thing is, unless I'm going home, I might not want an airport request. The next time frame is between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. So that's the time frame where people are placing orders for dinner time because they got home from work and they're too lazy to cook. So it's time to order Uber Eats or Doordash. And I'm not insulting anyone because I'm that person who'll be too lazy to cook sometimes. So I start ordering around then too. So delivery tends to be pretty popping during those hours. Now, if you're looking at the time frames, you'll see that there's actually a lineup. You'll rideshare between 4 to 7, delivery between 5 to 10. So between 5 and 7, it's sizzling on both sides of the coin. It's hot on delivery and it's hot on rideshare. So if you do both, you really can get the best of both worlds and really just maximize your cherry picking. Like, hey, I'm not accepting anything unless it's this amount of money. What that is up to you based on your market and how much you know you can make. But now that we've covered all the daily time frames that are sizzling with activity, that kind of concludes this video because we're focusing on the daily cycle in this video. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the weekly cycle, like what days are best for rideshare and delivery. I didn't say this about the daily cycle because I'll cover it in the next video, but everything I said here doesn't really apply for the weekends because even though it's valid for the weekends tend to be fairly busy all day. So the dead periods of time that I mentioned, it will be slower, but there's still activity there. So theoretically, you may find yourself still getting pings during that time frame, so you could probably keep going versus during the weekdays, which is what the daily is more so catered towards when we're talking about this. That is when these are like these dead times, you won't get anything. It'll just die. So you might as well go back home and watch TV or do something else or get something to eat. But that concludes this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Good news, I'm actually getting my bookcase delivered to my new spot later today. So we may be done filming videos in the car finally, and we can get back to my set. But if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And if you're looking for something to listen to in between pings on rideshare or while you're delivering food, you should check out my book, The Anatomy of Financial Success, which is available on audiobook, and you can get it for free by clicking on the link in the description below for a free Audible trial. I'll catch you in the next video. Be safe, be profitable, everyone. What's up, everyone? This is Elijah from the Side Hustler Society coming at you with another video where we're going to be talking about the gig economy and Uber Eats and Rideshare. Now, there's not going to be any music in this video because it's a more serious video. A lot of y'all probably have noticed I've kind of started a new series. I don't know what I'm going to call it. It might be the mastery of the gig economy. But veterans of the channel will kind of see that it's kind of a revamped, more modern version of the traditional Uber Eats course, except for it's going to take rideshare into consideration. And the first part is already dropped, where we talked about what's the best time to drive when it comes to the daily cycle of rideshare and delivery. But you may have noticed I didn't talk about overnight, and there's a reason for that. So I'm going to address it in this video because y'all deserve to know. So the reason I didn't cover overnight in that video, and that goes for delivery drivers as well as rideshare drivers, what I'm about to say applies to both. Over the years, since I last made gig content on this channel, both of them have gotten increasingly more dangerous. I don't know if it's because of the recession, which economists are not using that word so people don't freak out. I don't think it's really because of the rates dropping, at least for rideshare, because they haven't really dropped well, I guess I can't speak for nationally, but I can speak for locally, and they haven't dropped. Keep in mind they were kind of low to start with, though. But yeah, so overnight, I noticed that the majority of incidents where a rideshare driver or a delivery driver, maybe more so delivery drivers, get hurt in some form, have mostly been happening at night for the most part. And as well, as much as I'd like to give y'all all the sources of making money, y'all's safety is my priority, as I hope you realize. That's why I didn't cover it, but I know a lot of y'all are gonna ask me to cover it anyway. Now, rideshare, technically, a lot of that stuff that you see can happen at any time of the day because there's a lot of crazies out there. I'll just ask to just be aware where you're, how can I say this? Just be aware as possible. And if you're doing rideshare, please, for the love of God, use a dash cam. Okay, please. I'll link to Chris's video on from the Show Me the Money podcast where he kind of recommends which dash cam to use. But just get a dash cam. That's the safest way to protect yourself, aside from protecting yourself like. But I'm not going to go there. As far as delivery drivers, this has been something that's been steadily picking up over the years, where it didn't used to really be dangerous as a delivery driver. It was actually the safe alternative to rideshare. I knew a lot of people that did delivery because they thought rideshare strictly was unsafe. Now, a lot of people have reasons why they don't do rideshare, but some people, that was their reason. Like a burrito is not going to attack you in the car, and now delivery drivers are, showing up to places and getting hurt or getting killed. And I'm not going to give you any one instance. You can Google it. But like I said, I know it's a lot of these who take a night, which is why I was hesitant to talk about it. Just please take care of yourself, okay? And when it comes to delivery in general, I have areas in my city that I have a sundown rule. Like the moment the sun is no longer in the sky where the shadows start coming, I make sure I don't go to that area because of the nature of what's going on. In fact, I would go as far as to say that big metro cities in general are off limits after like 7:30, and if I want to keep going, I go to the suburbs. So just take care of yourself and take what I'm saying into consideration before I go into the popping times overnight. So the dynamics of overnight, like we talked about in the last video, the supply, which is the amount of people placing orders, and demand is the amount of people who are requesting rides on rideshare. And we're looking at drivers, delivery drivers, how many are on the road, as well as rideshare drivers. So overnight, we'll cover delivery first. We'll cover rideshare first. So overnight, there's activity, there's demand because most people aren't willing to do it. But you're gonna have to experiment with your market to see what areas tend to have the most activity. But if you want to make the most money, it's always gonna be the bar rush. So the bar rush is between the hours of 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. That's when the bar rush is really sizzling, and people tend to be going to the bars kind of starts like at 9 o'clock actually, but they really start maybe around 10, 11-ish. And when you're taking people to the bars, you're going to be dealing with rowdy crowds. They're ready to, let loose. And when you're picking people up in the bars and they're bar hopping or going back home, you're going to be dealing with drunk people. Make sure you have vomit bags, that kind of thing. Yeah. But there's plenty of surge. So that's a plus. I'm going to be honest. The flat rate surge, well, I'm not going to go there. I personally don't think the bar rush is worth it for rideshare because it's not the multiplier surge it used to be. I don't think the flat rate surge really serves enough balance to the equation in terms of earnings to justify doing it. That's why I haven't been doing the bar rush. As far as the days, which we'll cover in the next video, I'll generally say this because I'm not going to cover it in the next video. Friday, Saturday, those are the sizzling times to do the bar rush. So keep in mind wherever the bars are located in your city, where they're kind of consolidated within a 5 or 6 mile radius, I'll say. That's the area that's usually popping. So yeah. Switching over to delivery, the bar rush is relevant for you because rideshare drivers will be taken off the road and there are people ordering food overnight. And you can take advantage of the surge if you have a dual account where you're accepting Uber Eats orders and also rides. You can just turn the rides portion off and grab the surge in those areas. Minus the bar rush, you want to take a look at the Uber Eats app, customer app, to see what restaurants are even open after 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock and midnight. So you need to know like each of those time periods what restaurants are closing. Then anything still open after midnight for the most part is going to be the 24-hour restaurants, or some close at 2 o'clock. Make sure you kind of, I would write this down if you need to, but if you don't have to, just have it in your mind what restaurants will be open, and that'll inform where you want to set up shop as far as a hotspot. That covers the times as far as overnight goes. Like I said, I really didn't want to talk about it because I don't think it's safe anymore. But I knew that y'all wanted to know the information. Do with it as you will. Just please take care of yourselves. So I will catch y'all in the next official part of I think I'll just call this series the Mastery of Gig Work or something. But I'll see y'all in the next video. Like this video if you found value in it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And like always, even more than ever before, be safe and be profitable. Sup everyone, this is Elijah from the Side Hustler Society coming at you with another video about the gig economy, and I gotta tell you, it's so good. It feels so good to be back in a set with my bookcase behind me. I was getting tired of that car stuff. I might still film some videos in the car on the go though, so yeah. In this video, we're going to be continuing the series of mastering the gig economy by covering exactly what are the best days to drive when it comes to rideshare and delivery. Before we hop into it, I do need to let you know that there is an expectation that you've seen the first video in this series where I talk about what's the best time to drive on a daily basis. So if you haven't seen that video, you want to click on the link in the description, well, the playlist in the description, or the card that's appearing on the screen right now, and check that out first. Assuming you've done that, let's go ahead and get on with the video. So like before, same thing plays a role in which days are going to be popping and which days are kind of slow. The supply of drivers, whether it be rideshare drivers or delivery drivers, and the demand from customers, whether it be them requesting Ubers and Lyfts, or you're ordering food off of Uber Eats, Doordash, etc. So right off the bat, we're going to start at the beginning of the week, which is Monday. So Monday is an interesting day because the closer you get to the beginning of the week, the slower it tends to be. But I've actually had some pretty decent Mondays. So in general, it's going to be slower than the other days. Technically, you would think it's the slowest. It's not really the slowest. And what I'm going to talk about, it really applies for delivery and rideshare. When it divulges, I'll let you know. But Mondays, it's not the slowest day of the week. Tuesday is the slowest day of the week. So just have your expectations that Monday can be kind of slow. So whatever your maximum earnings are that you've experienced in your market is probably not going to be on a Monday. Another thing to note is that a number of restaurants are closed on Monday. So you need to be aware of what restaurants in your area are closed on Monday, and that'll kind of inform you on where you want to set up shop. But with that being said, we'll move on to the next day, which is Tuesday, which I'm going to be honest, Tuesdays are very slow on both sides, rideshare and delivery. Tuesdays tends to be slow for every single thing, every single business. So I think this is a great day to take off, to be honest. I got nothing good to say about Tuesday. Like back in my early days, I'd get out there on Tuesdays and like the money I would make would be like 25, maybe 30% less than like normal. So yeah, definitely not worth it. Take the day off or do something else more constructive on Tuesday, in my opinion. But if you get out there, just have the expectations set. I guess the bonus that Tuesday has over Monday is most restaurants will already be open, because restaurants that were closed on Monday will be open on Tuesday. But like I said, it's just slow. It's in the middle of the week, but it's not quite hump day. So people on rideshare aren't requesting rides as much. You may still get people going to and from work, but that's kind of all you're getting, with the exception of airport trips. So just the casual, like people needing to Uber around, isn't there as much on Tuesday, which is why it's so slow. So all the rides that people are going to and from work, they're being taken up by, the drivers on the road. As far as delivery goes, same scenario. Beginning of the week, maybe they had a rough start. They really want to order Uber Eats or Doordash to kind of rebalance the scale, because, oh man, how do I get through the rest of this week? It just started. Look, let me give myself a break by not cooking and ordering some food. Tuesday, that phenomenon is not really happening, because it is kind of in the middle of the week, but it's not hump day yet. So yeah. How about we go ahead and move on to hump day, which is Wednesday. Now, this is where demand tends to pick up and be average to maybe even good, because of the hump day scenario, or syndrome. That's what I like to call it. Rideshare, it's hump day, and people do need just casual Ubers to and from places, in addition to going to work, in addition to airport requests. So that whole cycle starts to pick up as the week goes on, and it's in the middle of the week. So Wednesday tends to be decent to good activity on rideshare. As far as food delivery, a lot of people order on hump day because it's kind of like a repeat of Monday, in the sense of, I'm halfway through the week, let me give myself a break, just order some food instead of, preparing food. So Wednesdays can actually be decent to good. That's kind of the category I put them in. Worth going out. If you only had like 3 days out of the week to go and do delivery or rideshare, well, particularly delivery, I would miss Wednesday if I could do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for instance. But if one of those days isn't available, Wednesday, you can't go super bad with it. So next we have Thursday. Now Thursday, in some people's mind, particularly some people's mind, the weekend kind of begins on Thursday, so their habits kick in on Thursday. As far as people needing a rideshare request and people ordering food because they want to be lazy sitting around the house, that is when demand actually starts to pick up a lot. I would say Thursdays are good to great. I don't put it in a decent category. It's good to great, so it's higher than decent. So Thursday would be a great day to go ahead and get your week started if you're a part-time gig worker and you really want to maximize the time frames that you go out there. Thursday is a great day to go ahead and start the process, provided that you can, work the rest of the week. Yeah, Thursdays are pretty solid. Now we're going to talk about Friday and Saturday simultaneously, because in terms of quality, I would say they're about equal. Maybe Friday has a slight edge in delivery, but it's not noticeable. So Friday, Saturday, the activity is great to sizzling. As you can imagine, it's the weekend, so people going all over the place on rideshare, and people ordering a bunch of food on the delivery apps. So get out there. The time frames that we talked about in the last video, they apply, but they don't apply as much on Friday and they do on Friday, but not as much on Saturday, because it'll tend to be kind of sizzling all day. And the time frames I gave, in the last video, they're a good frame to work in, but you will see requests during those dead hours, because Saturday is just kind of sizzling all day. And lastly, we have Sunday. So Sunday is an interesting one. On the delivery spectrum, this is where the rideshare and delivery, they divulge. So Sundays, a lot of restaurants are closed. A good example is Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays, but Sunday still has a lot of activity, not as much as Saturday, but it still has a lot of activity. In particular, a lot of breakfast orders kicking on Sunday. So what I mean by that is, if you're willing to get up early in the morning, let's say you start at 8 and go to like 12, there's a lot of orders if you're set up in the right place from Denny's and IHOP and breakfast style or restaurants, because a lot of people like to order breakfast on Sunday morning. So that's actually a great time to get out there and grab that money. But in general, the demand is still there, and what I said about it being kind of sizzling all day for Saturday, it applies to Sunday to a smaller degree. Although it's not too uncommon for it to go dead during those dead hour times, sometimes the demand will keep going, so you kind of got to play that by ear. As far as rideshare goes, you wouldn't think this, but Sundays can actually be really good. You would think it would be kind of like dead, like at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, but you have people Ubering and Lyfting to church. You have people Ubering to like restaurants just to have like a lunch with friends. And then like when that ends, like around like 1 o'clock when lunchtime kind of ends, you just have people going to random places, ride sharing. And you wouldn't think it would be that way. It's really like that all of Sunday. And I would say the demand starts to taper off as you go through the day, but it starts off surprisingly high. And the reason being is you just wouldn't have thought of the reasons. Like Sunday can actually be a very good day for rideshare, as it kind of starts off demand-wise high, then it slowly tapers off as the day goes on. But even when it ends, at the end of the day, I still would say that the demand is decent. So it starts off from great, then it slowly trickles down to decent. So it can actually be a pretty good rideshare day, because that balances out. Like if you're gonna do the whole day, then it starts off great, then by the end of it it's decent, so that averages out to be kind of good. But you could say I'm gonna call it quits like at 4 or 5 and just take advantage of the sizzling times on Sunday. So yeah, that covers the weekly cycles of the gig economy. In the next video, we're going to be talking about what is the yearly cycle. So there are times of the year that are busier than others when it comes to the gig economy, when it comes to food delivery, when it comes to rideshare. So we're going to be getting into that in the next video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you're looking for some merch to rock while you're out there in the gig economy, you can click on the link in the description below to get the merch that I'm wearing right now. Hustlers gonna hustle while haters gonna hate. It's been Elijah with the Side Hustler Society. See you next time, and don't forget to be safe and be profitable. What's up, everyone? This is Elijah from the Side Hustler Society, and we're coming at you with another video in the Mastering the Gig Economy series. I guess I'll call it that. Work with me, I'll probably come up with something more creative in the actual name later. But yeah, this is the next part in the installment of that series. So if you've been watching this so far, we've been kind of building up towards something. These have been stacking. So we covered the best times to drive, whether it be food delivery or rideshare, to maximize the amount of money you're making. Then we covered the best days to drive based on the supply and demand, that being how many people are placing orders and how many drivers are on the road, which will determine how fast you can get pings and the quality of pings. So we're going to build off of that concept and talk about the yearly cycles. You might be thinking, wouldn't the next logical step be to talk about the monthly cycles? But the monthly cycles don't really come into play here. Now, there are things that can happen during the month that influence demand, but we're going to put that in a different section. There's no consistent variable like throughout like the month where like week 4 of this month or months in general is more busier than the first week of the month. That's not really comes into play. What does come into play is there are certain months that are busier than others based on a few different dynamics. The main one being seasonality. So why does that have such an impact? Well, there's 4 seasons, as you know: winter, fall, spring, and summer. And anytime the weather is extreme in some form or fashion, that causes more people to stay at home and not to get out there and do delivery, and to a lesser degree, even rideshare. I mean, I think we've all seen that when it starts snowing, it's surging like crazy because no one wants to get out there and drive. That's just one example. But these extreme weathers can range from it being rainy to it being cold to it being hot. Now, the rain and the snow, that's something that you really can't predict, but it being hot and cold is something that happens on a yearly basis and monthly basis that we can predict. So that's what we're going to be going into. So I'm going to go through all these months, and it's going to be categorized in terms of how those seasons affect demand But keep in mind that months in particular, they are subjective to your local economy. So everything I say here, take it with a grain of salt and use it as a guide to kind of pay attention to your own market, because some markets may be booming in a certain month where others may not. But one thing that's universal is the seasons will have an effect on the demand in your area. So starting off, we're looking at the month January, and January is actually pretty slow because a lot of people actually are doing these apps for extra money that normally wouldn't be on the platform. Good example, college is out, and a lot of college students may hop on Uber or Uber Eats to make some extra money. The same applies for teachers. They may be hopping on these apps to make some extra money. When you combine that with the fact that when it comes to rideshare, people who are normally busy, since there's extra drivers on the road, they may decide to start taking delivery requests to kind of supplement for the lack of money they're making on rideshare. The best example of this I can give is years ago when I ordered Uber Eats, it was tofu fried rice. The driver that brought it, and this was before the whole leave at the door thing was a thing. So when I saw the driver and got the food from him, he came in a SUV, and I'm pretty sure that car qualified for Uber XL. So why would he be taking a delivery request? Well, the only thing I can think of is it was in the month of January, so he was just trying to stay busy. If it was normal rideshare demand, he wouldn't be taking deliveries. At minimum, he'd probably drop down to taking the Uber X, because y'all know Uber XL pays a lot more. So yeah, the reason he is doing deliveries most likely is because it was slow. That's a good example. So you should expect that in January. And to be honest, this would be a great time to take a vacation yourself, because it is really slow. It'll start picking up towards the end of January, like maybe the last 5 days. But yeah, now you might be wondering, does the cold make up for the demand? Now, there are certain times in January where if it's very, very, very cold that particular day, it may bounce out to be normal demand, but you're still not going to see like a hot season in the middle of the cold, no pun intended. So yeah, moving on to February, a lot of what I said starts to end. So people go back to school, the teachers are back in school, so things start getting back rolling, and things kind of return to medium-ish. Towards the beginning of February, you may see some highs because February is a cold month. So if it's like under 30 degrees or something, people may be staying in the house. And another thing that influences demand in a good way for delivery drivers is if it's real cold and people have a taste for something, they don't tend to want to go out. They'll just order it on Uber Eats or Doordash or whatever. So that's something you use to your advantage. And that cold will keep some drivers from going out, because some people, they just can't deal with the cold. So provided you're willing to put up with the cold, it's opportunity for you. And people tend to tip better in colder seasons, I've seen. So that's the thing with February. When we move to March, so March is kind of hot to medium in terms of demand and also sometimes temperatures, because it is a transitional season. It's when the spring obviously kicks in, and it could actually start getting real hot. One thing to keep in mind is that spring break is in March, so you may encounter some of what we talked about in January, but a lot of that is offset by if it starts to get hot. The hot will keep drivers in the house too. It doesn't necessarily increase demand sometimes, because even if it's hot, people still may go get their food. The cold really makes people start ordering more, but it will keep some drivers off the road, provided you're willing to put up with the heat. Make sure you stay hydrated, and if the sun is an issue, you'll get one of those hats that block sunlight. I recommend you. Well, I'm just gonna say I don't do it because since I work from home a lot, any exposure to the sun I can get is great. Americans are vitamin D deficient, but use your own judgment for that. Moving on to April and May, it's about medium activity, because at this point, it's still springtime, so it'll still be hot. But in general, it's not like there's more activity in April and May as compared to March. So it kind of evens out to be medium. Now, next up, we have the summer. And when I say summer, I mean all summer. So that's the months of June, July, August. This is the time when it's very hot outside a lot of times, and it keeps a lot of drivers away. In fact, you may actually see Uber or DoorDash, whatever, starting to throw some promotions out there because people aren't driving. but the demand doesn't necessarily slow down. So there you go. Talking about those months in particular, June and July are actually slower than August because you do have some of what happened in January happening in the summer months because school is out. So you might have some college students doing it. You might have some professors doing it. You might have some teachers doing it. But it's so hot that it tends to make up for that. So it's not like it's going to be slow. It'll actually be a little above average in terms of activity. But August is when all that stuff stops because everyone goes back. But it's still very hot depending on where you're at. So it'll keep people from going outside. And that means there's more market share for you provided you want to do it. Next, we move on to September and October, which is kind of medium because, we're getting into the transition season of fall where it's not hot, but it's not cold. We'll be, steadily move into colder. It's usually not enough to keep people indoors though, so it's just kind of medium activity. And lastly, we have the winter, which is November and December. And this is weather that keeps people inside because it's pretty cold. Like we already established, that's a great recipe for you to go out there and get this money. People tend to tip more when it's cold, so that's always a plus. Now there is a parentheses here, and that is the fact that November and December, they have holiday days in there. Anytime a holiday happens, and there's usually going to be some big feast among families, there's a little thing called leftovers. And instead of ordering like McDonald's from Uber Eats, they'll have like some turkey or dressing or something left over from that family function that they had. And that'll last a few days after the actual holiday. So we're talking about Thanksgiving, where after Thanksgiving, pretty much that weekend, you'll see a drop in activity because people aren't necessarily needing to order. If they don't feel like cooking, they can just heat up some leftovers. Same goes for Christmas. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to do it. Honestly, the days following those two holidays, I tend to just not drive because I would actually categorize those days as being some of the slowest days of the year, period. But if you're going to do it, just keep that in mind. I also should note that the holidays themselves can be very mixed. I would say you need to experiment because there are going to be restaurants, a lot of restaurants are closed during Thanksgiving and Christmas, for instance, but there are some that are open. And a lot of drivers aren't driving because they're doing a holiday thing with their families. So there's a driver deficiency too, but there's also a deficiency in demand. But sometimes there's enough demand to service you if you're willing to get out there. But there's no for sure way for me to tell you if that's going to happen or not. Just turn the app on, stay home, don't go nowhere, and just see what happens. If you get some activity and it's decent, go out there and do it, and maybe the app will keep you busy the whole day or a few hours. It's really random, but if you're willing to do it, it's worth experimenting with. I've had some holidays where I was actually busy the whole day, but most of the time, like I wasn't getting any pings after like 30 minutes. This one I'm kicking back, watching Netflix or something, and I just turned it on just to see what happens, and nothing was coming through. So it might be worth experimenting if you want to do it. But that brings us to the end of the yearly cycle. So that does it for this video. Stay tuned for the next part in the series where I'm going to be covering sporadic events that could affect demand and how to know exactly what's going on so you can take advantage of them if you so desire. That's it for now. I'll catch you in the next video. And if you haven't done so already, if you're driving for Uber Eats or Rideshare, if you have not checked out my audiobook, The Anatomy of Financial Success, click on the link in the description below where you can listen to it for free on Audible so you can be getting laced up on the financial game while you're making money from these apps in the process. Be safe and be profitable, everyone. Greetings, everyone. This is Elijah from the Side Hustler Society, and welcome to another part in the Gig Mastery series. So we've kind of covered the overall cycle of demand and supply when it comes to driving delivery and rideshare. So the last thing we're going to cover is there are actually things that are going on in your local market in your city that can be influencing demand that you may not know about. And you need to notice whether it's going to be good or bad in terms of influencing that demand and supply that we keep talking about. And you can make a decision on if you want to go out there and get that money, or if you want to do something else with your time. These sporadic events, as I have kind of labeled them, are things like concerts, gatherings, just things that are going on in your local market that will play a big role, and they can work to your advantage if you know that they're going on. I'll give you an example. If Taylor Swift was coming to your market to do a performance, do you think that would play a role in how many deliveries you get within a 3 to 4 hour time frame in your local city? Same goes for Rideshare. In fact, in Rideshare, in particular, not only would there be surge, but you need to weigh if it's worth it to even go there to take people, because sometimes the traffic will be so bad, you might want to stay away from there, to be honest. But if you're going to do it, if you're familiar with the area, you can go ahead and set up shop in a place that is relatively, like, you'll be in traffic but just for like maybe a few minutes, and get a ping, and then let the customer know that, hey, why don't you walk to my location? I'll sit here, wait an extra 5 or 10 minutes, and that'll be much faster and will help us get out faster than me trying to get to you. And a lot of people actually will do that because they understand how long it's going to take. They're in the thick of it. But if you just take a ping and you don't know what's going on, and then you end up just getting in the middle of it, you couldn't plan for that. So the idea here is to know what's going on in your local market. And there's a real simple solution for this. You can just Google major events in whatever your city is, and they'll start showing some events that are going on. You could also just remove the word major and just say events, and you can see what's going on too. This can help you kind of plan out your month. So if we were going to do like a quote unquote weekly cycle, which we skipped for the reasons I mentioned in the last video, I suppose this would be it, because events will influence the demand both on delivery and rideshare. It's just sometimes like there aren't any big events going on in that month, so it would render that advice kind of useless. But in this context, I would just do this really once a week. So maybe every Monday, Google major events in your city. So like for me, I Google major events in Dallas, and Google will pop up some things. And if you see something that you know is going to be a major event, you need to decide if you want to participate in that in terms of being a driver, whether it's going to be delivery or if it's going to be rideshare. Now, one thing I want to say about delivery is this is one of the reasons, if you can, because I know sometimes your car might not qualify for this, but if you can qualify for driving UberX and deliveries, I actually recommend that you get that dual account. And how you do that, you sign up for Rideshare first, and then there's a process you follow in the Uber app that says you want to sign up for deliveries, and then they'll add deliveries to your account. The reason I say that is because you can actually get surge boosts on top of your deliveries, and that's independent from what the customer paid on Uber Eats. So let's say you got a bunch of these non-tipping cats just placing orders like crazy, so you see these $2 orders floating around, which is like, obviously you're not going to take that. At least I hope you're not. I'm not. But then that order is placed in a surge zone when Taylor Swift is doing a concert, and like the whole, like half the city is surging because of that, and it gets an extra $10 attached to it because of surge. All of a sudden it's a $12 order, and it's going around the corner. Oh yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. But you wouldn't have that opportunity if you have an Uber Eats only account. The trade-off to that is Uber Eats only accounts have the more boosts and quests that are catered specifically towards Uber Eats. But lately I've been seeing some bullshit like you see on the screen, where they're talking about like, hey, we'll guarantee you $15 per hour if you take every delivery. That's some employee shit. I got zero interest in doing stuff like that. They're not promoting boosts like back in the day where like, hey, it's wrapped around a zone and you have like a 1.5 boost. So in addition to whatever you're getting paid, you'll get 1.5 times that. Or they're not throwing quests out there, at least in my market, where, hey, for every 3 deliveries you do, you get an extra $1.50, something like that. So until they return to those type of boosts, which I don't think they're going to, they're really trying to push this, hey, just take everything, including all this crap, and we'll guarantee you make $15 an hour. Even if it's a request is going 30 miles and it pays $2. Yeah, no. With that being the case, it's much better just to have the dual account. and play the surge, in my opinion. I'll leave that decision up to you as a delivery drivers. But that's how I have my stuff set up so I can take advantage of the surge. Now that we've covered the sporadic events that can be happening in your market and why you need to be informed on them, that covers the majority of the series. I'm going to make another video where it's going to be answering y'all's questions about Uber and Uber Eats, as well as some miscellaneous things that didn't necessarily fit into the timing format, since we're talking about when are the best times to drive, as kind of like a conclusion to the series. So if you do have any questions that you want me to answer, be sure to leave it in the comment section of this video, and I'll include those in the, I guess it'll be sort of like a FAQ video to follow up on the series. But that does it for now. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Mentioned it before, but be sure that you grab the Anatomy of Financial Success. This in the description. That's my personal finance book, so you can really get your financial game locked down. So this extra money you're making with Uber Eats can be put to the best use possible for you. I'll catch you on the next video. This has been Elijah from the Side Hustler Society. Be safe and be profitable, everyone. Okay, y'all. So we are officially done with the streaming portion, but I don't know what I'm gonna call that. But basically, we're in the Q&A now. So if y'all have any questions or any comments about what y'all just saw, whether it be gig economy or you just got questions you want to hit me with in general, let me just do a quick sound check. I want to make sure that y'all can still hear me. Yeah, we're good. All right. So if y'all have any questions y'all want to hit me with, I dropped the link in the chat. So if you want to join the show, just click that link and you can ask the question live, or you can type out your question in the chat. Overall, I still think that the gig economy, whether it be Uber Eats, Uber, Lyft, Doordash, whatever, is still a good way to make money. You got to be real strategic though. And since you have all the information up front nowadays, you can see where you're going. Thank God. Y'all didn't getting involved with these apps now. Y'all spoiled. We didn't used to be able to have that information. But now that you have it, it's more so critical to learn what are the best times to drive so that you can really maximize your money. While we're waiting for the questions to come in, I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at the information that we got. Let's see. So, Engineer Your Life, y'all be sure to check out her channel if you want to really up your tech game. She says she hates dealers mainly because they usually try and do some shady stuff when it comes to getting you to take a not so good deal. That's true. So now she has different experience with dealers because she deals with them a lot more than me since she's a Turo host. But yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, you can go in there and get screwed over. So if you're not familiar with how financing works when it comes to cars, and if they're trying to run some game, y'all really want to do some research on that. In fact, if y'all want to see a stream just about that, let me know. Maybe that's something we could set up. Let's see, scroll down. Sonny Bravo, what's happening? It's been a good minute since I've seen you on the stream before. Hopefully everything is going well with you. Let's see. There may be some dangerous bros out there, but seriously, great point for the dash cam. So she's referring to when I was talking about driving overnight. And this says I actually recommend use a dash cam in general. It doesn't matter whether you're overnight or whether it's the daytime. There's no harm in having a dash cam. And if you're thinking about the cost, it is tax deductible. That information is for entertainment purposes only, not a tax advisor. But I recommend that you just have a dash cam in general. But if you're going to do night, especially at night, and keep an eye on, just keep in mind exactly where you're going, because we don't want anyone to get hurt out here. Let's see. And that's part of the reason I don't do the bar rush anymore. I used to do the bar rush where, I'm going to tell you, I got some stories. When I used to do rideshare heavily, more so I do delivery now, but rideshare, man, I got some stories. Driving drunk people around and all kinds of stuff. Let's see. M3, can you get rich driving Uber? No. I'll put it this way. You find the person that has gotten rich driving Uber, and we'll just copy their model. Now, Uber is not really meant to, in my opinion, I'm gonna get some slack for this, but I don't think it's really meant to be done full time for an extended period of time. It's really a part time gig. The more you do it full time and the longer you stay in that industry, the more the pluses start to decrease and you start to accumulate minuses. Because most people aren't renting out, they're not leasing or renting a car. So they're using their own car, and that'll gradually just keep depreciating your vehicle. And if you stay in it too long, you'll find yourself with a heavily depreciated vehicle that you can only sell for pennies, and it's going to start having car problems and all that stuff in exchange for like the rideshare or delivery money, which if you're doing this full time, you're probably in a situation where you really, really need the money. So it'd be better for you to do it full time temporarily for like no more than a year and focus on getting the trader skill. And that trader skill can help you secure your finances. Because essentially that's what I did. I didn't stay in this game full time for longer than a year. Uh, it was like 9 months when I was doing it full time. And that's when I started getting into other things. I started working on that, and that started taking off. Then it went from full time to part time, then part time to like every now and then when I wanted to knock out an audiobook on the delivery side. So to answer your question, no, you can't get rich doing Uber. Just respect it for what it is, which is a side hustle. Think of it like this: Uber is going to pay you money while you. Let me rephrase that. Uber is going to pay you money while you pursue something else. So I think that's a good opportunity if you look at it in that context. Let's see. That's a two-parter. Or better, can you become financially independent with this Uber? You got to look at it in. There's two ways we can look at that question. You can, but not in the way that I personally want people to be. So you can become financially independent in the sense of you could be driving for Uber and you'll do it full time, and you won't have to work a job, for instance. It'll keep you off the job plantation, so to speak. But with that being said, Uber, the way it's set up, let's say if someone's in your car and they don't like the way you looked at them and they report you when you get deactivated. Well, that's a very similar situation to a job in the sense of, well, that income can be just cut off suddenly. And then what do you do? Now, yes, you could be driving for multiple apps like Uber and Lyft and and Doordash and Grubhub. And I didn't go into this because I don't have much experience with the shopping aspect, but there's also the grocery delivery apps like Shipt and Instacart. So you can be signed up for all of those. But in concept, it's you're still beholden to another third party. So yeah, you can become financially independent using Uber, but only in that context. True financial independence is really going to come from getting that trader skill and utilizing it to make your own money on your own terms, which is why I preach it so much. Let's see. Engineer your life. That may be a good video for you to do. Deep dive rebuying for dealerships. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely something we could take a look at. Because I think that stereotype has been floating out there for a good while. Like dealers are shady, how not to be taken advantage of or swindled. So more information on helping making sure that doesn't happen to people, you definitely take a look at doing that. Okay. For those of y'all that are just joining, we are in the Q&A. So if y'all have any questions in general, it doesn't have to be about the gig economy, but any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. And you can also join the show. Let me drop the link again if you want to ask your questions that way. See? Oh, I see a question popped up. I'm going to bring that question up. Give me one sec. Okay, let's see what we got. Is food delivery better than driving people? That depends on who you are. A lot of people don't realize this. They assume that just because when I first got on YouTube, I focused on Uber Eats that I like delivery better. I actually don't. I like rideshare better. I love the conversations that I have with airport passengers, taking them from the airport back to their homes. And I've had conversations with accountants, CEOs, families on vacation. But I really like talking to like these business executives that when we got to talking, they were just blown away to like, dude, you're not just like an Uber driver, are you? Like, we're actually having this conversation, and I feel like you could be in the boardroom. So I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed going to college campuses and taking the students from point A to point B and hearing about their wow college stories. Very entertaining, very fun. Plus, I'm a people person, so I prefer rideshare to be honest. I focused on Uber Eats because there was a void in the market. Like there's a bunch of rideshare channels. If I did that, I wouldn't have been any different. But I looked at Uber Eats, and no one was really talking about Uber Eats at the time. They were talking about food delivery, but food delivery covers everything. They like Grubhub and um, back in the day, Postmates and Caviar and Doordash and Uber Eats. So they're talking about delivery in general. But Uber Eats has certain unique things that were a part of it that made it stand out from those. You could kind of manipulate the Uber Eats algorithm if you know what you're doing. So that's why I focused on Uber Eats, and that's what caused my channel to gain a lot of steam. But I like rideshare better. So to answer your question, it depends on who you are. If you're more of a solitary person, I hate using this word because I think it gives too much power to inaction. But if you're introverted, then you may prefer food delivery. Um, and if you're more of a people person, you'll probably prefer rideshare. But if you just focus on the money, in most cases you'll make more of a rideshare, but delivery isn't that far behind. So it's like it comes off to a trade-off. If you want to make more money, you go with rideshare. And if you want to have more solitary space to yourself, then you go with delivery, even though you'll make less money. But to be fair, delivery is safer. With rideshare, there's always a chance that someone crazy is going to end up in your back seat and do some stupid shit. You don't have to think about that with food delivery, so you weigh those two options. Um. Okay, someone's trying to join the show. They don't have their mic and camera linked. So if you could take care of that, and I'll be able to bring you on. But right now, yeah, it's not going to let me bring you on until like something is connected. So for those of y'all that are trying to join the show, just make sure you have a mic connected and a camera, and you'll be good to go. Let's see. While we wait on him to get that situated. Aside from the gig economy, we can also talk about what kind of streams do y'all want to see for these Financial Freedom Fridays? I mean, Engineer Your Life already gave a good video or stream idea with the whole navigating around dealerships thing. Does anyone else have any ideas that y'all want to see me cover on these streams? Because I'm going to be looking at doing this maybe bi-weekly. I think that's a good frequency. Oh. It's kind of giving me a deja vu because I used to actually do these streams pretty frequently back when on this very same channel, the Side Hustler Society. Back in the day, I used to do streams a lot. Like, how many streams I do? Like, probably around like 20. So, yeah, I love doing these streams, communicating with the fam. Okay. His name was Biggest Hater, but he was trying to get on the stream. I'm going to give him a few minutes to see if he can hop in here. Because on the back end, I can tell he's trying to get on. But does anyone else have any other questions? Let's see. The importance of knowing your S's. Um, I'm not sure what you mean. Could you elaborate on that, or the digits? Or I'm pretty sure I'm misinterpreting like what you're saying. Let's see. While we're waiting, put a one in the chat if y'all want to hear me tell my craziest rideshare story that I've ever encountered before. It's pretty eccentric. Oh, numbers. So the importance of knowing your numbers. Do you mean like just in general? When it comes to the gig economy, like keeping accurate records, making sure you're tracking your mileage. Um, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Yeah, keeping track of your expenses is very important. So there's an app that I use called Stride. It allows you to track your mileage and put any kind of, yeah, that's what she's talking about. Like really analyzing revenue, expenses, profit, etc. Yeah, that's important because you'll see this a lot. A lot of people that they'll post like a screenshot online and it shows they made X amount of money with Uber and it has a screenshot from Uber. Okay, that's fine. But how much profit did you really make? What you're seeing is the gross revenue, but what did you actually take home? So you got to take that number, and if you want to really get down to it, you need to add the depreciation into your car if that's in the equation. But at the very minimum, you need to figure out how much taxes you'll be paying on that, and you need to calculate the gas that you spent. And once you do all that, what is your true like net profit? Now, I don't. I like to move away from hourly for the most part, but for the gig economy, we can use it kind of as a measuring stick. That final number, you take that and divide that by the number of hours that you actually were out there, not the hours that you were online, because you may have actually been out there driving longer than the hours that's recorded in the Uber app. When you leave the house at noon or whatever, that time from the point you get back home, let's say if it's going to be 10 o'clock. So you take that and then divide it by your net income, and that'll give you an hourly, what's the term I want to use? I guess I'll say rate. It'll give you an hourly rate. Then from there, you can kind of evaluate, okay, is this worth my time? I can't answer that. Only you can answer that. All I got to say is you want to make sure you do that. Yo, Tony, you are you on?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, we can hear you pretty good. What's up?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Shoot, just trying to get back to the habit of doing this live stream and stuff. I mean, I used to do it a lot
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the day, so it's kind of like a return to form. How about yourself?
Okay.
How's business been?
Oh man, life has been life, and so uh, business stuff has kind of taken somewhat of a back seat. But I'm trying to figure out how to armchair operate.
Well, you're okay because you're recently a family man now, right? Well,
Oh
a
yeah, of course,
more
that
of yeah.
and all kinds of other stuff.
Oh,
All right, because
okay, okay.
I'm having trouble hearing you. Let me see.
Doing the sound test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can also hear me. Oh,
Gotcha.
and yeah, that's what's throwing me off a little bit.
Hmm. Will you be able to work with it, or maybe you do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need?
yeah. I'll make it work.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I guess
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I guess not. I guess I can't. Hold on, you just went completely dark. I wonder, can you still hear me?
hey, we hear you fine. I hear you fine.
Oh, oh. All right, hold on. Let's do it this way.
While he's figuring that out, I still see biggest hater in the background. It says device
Let's
is not
do it
connected.
this
So
way. And I'm sorry for slowing the show down, bruh. I know you got, your ship operating real smooth. There we go.
okay, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Cool, cool. But yeah, why don't you tell people what you got going on business wise?
All right. Well, I run a cleaning service, Whirlwind Services, whoever it is. There it is. And we just do janitorial and residential and commercial cleaning.
Yeah, y'all remember that name? It's gonna be big. Well, it's already big. It's
Definitely,
going to be bigger.
definitely.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like we kind of talked about like off the air. This is another thing. I'm gonna bring some financial anatomy into this, even though this is side hustle society. Y'all know financial anatomy and the side hustle society work hand in hand. Yeah, so we've talked about online, offline, your financial personality. If I remember right, you have the sniper is that financial personality. So
right.
you're pretty explosive, pretty systems oriented. You got to get those systems set up so you'll be able to really take things to the next level. So I remember when you first started this company and you were out prospecting for customers, and you just kept putting in the work, and every time you did it, you learned something new, incorporated it into your system, and before you know it, now you're actually employing people.
Right. I don't recommend doing things the way I did things simply because I learned from the school of hard knocks and trial and error, which is the worst way to do anything. So I failed a lot, tried a lot, tried some other stuff, and did whatever I could to make whatever I can work. And so I started off just knocking on doors, and that took me like 6 months before I got any kind of feedback. Like, and you would get people who will say yes, or people who will uh say they'll do business with you, but actually getting people to follow up, and you following up with with everybody who told you yes. Like, you can talk to 100 people, get maybe 10 yeses, and out of those 10 yeses, maybe 2 people will actually go through with what you're doing.
Hmm. Well, like you said, that's the school of hard knocks. But honestly, I see it as like this. There's no kind of teaching method that ever gets done without someone that's willing to get out there, take the risk, fail, and learn, and then they can pass that on to their fellow entrepreneur or to the next
Right.
person. And in your case, you were that person that was able to start the whole process. So even though you might not recommend that process, now you have better processes that you can kind of pass down to the next generation of entrepreneurs. Would you say?
Yeah. Look, the funny thing about doing things the hard way is you could always do it again. Like, if ever it comes a time where you have to, start over, it's like, hey, now I can start over knowing things the easy way. So it's gonna be way easier the second time out.
Right. And kind of circling back to for those of y'all that are wondering, in terms of the financial personality that I was talking about before, I actually just dropped the link in the chat. I'm going to be running this promotion for the end of the rest of this year. But essentially, if you want to take your income to the next level and really figure out how to monetize your strengths, you have to know what they are first. And by getting a financial personality report from Financial Anatomy, again, the link is in the chat. And right now, I'm running this special for free. You can really see which one of the 6 financial personalities you are, see what are your advantages, what are your disadvantages, and from there, that'll inform you on how to approach what you want to do next when it comes to making money. Because what you
Right,
said,
right.
I wouldn't recommend that for another personality type, but for the sniper persona, that's right in your wheelhouse because you can take rejection easily. It's just part of the process.
No.
Take it, absorb it, improve the system, and move on. Yo, you still there?
Yeah, man. Hold wait. I'm trying to get to where I can hear you again.
Yeah, now there's the reverberation. It wasn't there before.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, it's a lot going on. I came in unprepared. But either way, I'll make it work.
Okay. For everyone else that's listening, if y'all still have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or come on the show.
Yeah. 'Cause-
But yeah, while you're on the show, did you have a question you wanted to hit me up with?
oh, wait 1 second. I couldn't hear what you just said. Let me try and go like this.
Okay.
All right. Let's
And
see
you
if that
did it
works
live
a little
keeping
bit
it
better.
100. Keeping it
Mm.
100. Okay.
All right, now I got you.
All right. So, did you hear the last thing I said?
No.
All right. I was saying, while you're on the show, did you have a question that you want to hit me up with?
Oh yeah, sure, sure, sure. Uh, Let me ask you, bro. Would you say that someone should try to duplicate your way of doing things?
Hmm. Uh, you mean, are you talking about in a particular area or like,
Let's say, yeah. You somebody who I know has multiple streams of income.
right?
Like I'm saying, would you recommend? All right, hey, get Uber over here, get a book over there. Start a YouTube channel, or is it like, hey, this is too much. Do something easier.
Ooh, that's a good question. Yes, y'all gonna have to put your school gear on because we might have to go deep. Um, I would say I would, but it is a lot of work. So part of the reason I'm able to do all this is because I'm free. What I mean by free, have been off the job scenario for 7 years. So I
Mm,
have the time to commit to building one source of income up, stabilizing it, and then moving on to another source of income. And you've known me for a few years. You saw how this all started to come together towards the end. But initially, all these
mhm.
were built individually. So I wouldn't recommend it for someone that's still out on the 9 to 5 because that's way, 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 way too much. You got 40 hours you got to dedicate towards building someone else's business, and then you have to come home and essentially build these streams of income. You're not going to have the time to fully attack each set of income individually, stabilize it, then move on. I recommend you just pick one and just really keep building that one up until it can replace your full-time job if that's what you want. You want to get off the 9 to 5.
Okay, okay, okay. Man, when I think about doing YouTube and stuff like that, it seems like a whole nother job in and of itself.
uh yeah, it can be. um I'll say this: you could do it in a way that it doesn't have to be so consistent wise. So you could record, edit, and make sure all the videos are done, and you could just go hard for like let's say a month and make 20 or 25 videos, but then schedule those videos for the next 6 months. So
Uh, all right,
yeah,
that's
so it won't be
cheap.
the same as like, oh, I have to work this 40-hour like work week. So you can set it up like that, or you can do the standard 40-hour work week kind of thing. That's not something I have the most interest in doing, to be honest. I've always been the explosive type. So I'll record a bunch of videos and then just schedule those bad boys. And like a lot of y'all think that, okay, each week I'll come out with a video. Um, in the back end, I haven't recorded in like months. All that has been scheduled months in advance and it's coming out, once per week or twice per week.
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you say your typical workday schedule is?
When you say you talking about like how many hours it worked or like what is
Basically, yeah. So
gotcha.
are you working, like usually if you own your own thing or if you run your own thing, you can work to like $80 to $100. Hey, 80 to 100 hours a week.
Right. Yeah. Here's what a typical week looks like for me. It's usually between 30 to 20 hours. But
Mm.
there's a disclaimer there. There's a disclaimer. I worked very hard to get to that point. In my mid 20s, it was not uncommon for me to work like 70, 80, or 90 hours a week. In fact, I'm gonna be talking about this on the podcast. But once I did get off the 9 to 5 and I really started putting in work, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain this. I knew that there was something different about me, and some of y'all might be able to relate to this. But in terms of working the standard 40 hours a week, I kind of found out that that wasn't really for me. Like even when I had the 9 to 5, I used to work in Amazon. I didn't feel like I had to keep showing up at this place, giving 40 hours of my week to this place, and it's only one source of income. So what if they fired me or something like that? I never liked that. That's why when I used to always have 2 part-time jobs. Then I finally got a full-time job. It was like I didn't like the way this felt. So one of the things I noticed that I loved is I would take something and work like 70, 80, 90 hours a week for like 2 or 3 months, but I can reap the rewards from all those efforts for like the rest of the year and only work like 20 or 30 hours a week. So that's very inconsistent, right? There are
Right.
people that they're just satisfied working that standard 40 hours consistently. I can explode and just focus on nothing else other than what I'm working on and do that 80 or 90 hour work week for 1 to 2, maybe even 3 months. As long as the rest of the year I can have my 20 to 30 hours or sometimes even 15-hour work weeks.
Okay, so let me ask you this, bro. No matter how good you got your stuff set up, there's always instances where a catastrophe comes in and messes up your whole plan. So how do
Mhm.
you handle when your catastrophes pop up?
Um, I guess I'm gonna have to ask in what way. Like, there's several ways. You mean like financially or mentally or emotionally? Like, which one of those?
So I think the biggest problems come when it's a financial problem. Let's say if you don't have the capital to move forward with, whatever projects you need to move forward with. If you need to pay for this, but and paying for this is what's going to allow you to make more money, but you don't have the money to pay for this, kind of thing going on. Like your upstart capital and whatever, you need to basically boost yourself, or mentally when the strain is just going on too much. You got this going on over here, you got your life going on in the real world, and you got people who depend on you.
Gotcha. So it sounds like the translation is, "What do you do when shit hits the fan?" Am I right?
Right.
I'll tackle the financial aspect and then I'll talk about the other things. Financial aspect, this is why I highly recommend people get a trader skill. Let's say if this YouTube shit and like everything just collapsed. It's just it's Thanos snap out of existence tomorrow. So
Mm.
what do I do? At the end of the day, my trader skill that I bring to the market that people are willing to pay high money for is being a video editor. So I
Mm.
can get out there and go get some clients when it comes to video editing, and I can still make high 5 figures or even low 6 figures if I'm really willing to push the hours in there. And that can serve as the foundation for me to start over again if it was ever to happen. When a person doesn't have that trader skill, if they get wiped out, which is technically always possible, they're unskilled labor. And that means that
Right.
they're gonna have to go back to the job field. And it almost is kind of like it's essentially for nothing. And you can kind of relate to this because your trader skill, you got skills with the car and the wrenches, so you got the mechanic game on lockdown, right?
Oh no, I'm a body man. I fix the car.
Hey, there you go, there you go. So initially, when you were getting your business off the ground, every now and then you would go and get some work in that form. Remember that?
Oh yeah, no, look, bro. I the way I look at things is, I'm a hustler. Whatever it is, I have to,
I was.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to say
Like it
hustle
doesn't
while
matter
getting
if,
paid.
yeah, to me, it wouldn't matter if it was, fixing cars or, whatever. Like failure isn't an option. So,
Right.
regardless of what's going on, what I have to do to make whatever pop off. Like, look, I get out there and sell plates and don't know how to cook. It don't matter, you know what I'm saying? As long as they buying them.
Oh man, wow.
Yeah,
I
bro.
respect that. I respect that hustler
Oh,
spirit.
no, how did it just happen?
But the answer to your second question, which is the mental and emotional part, and after this, I guess we'll start wrapping up. I was waiting for he had in the background he had his name Biggest Hater, but I guess he's not gonna be able to get on. Um, I'm pulling out a book in case y'all wondering like what I'm doing. So there's a book called Ra Qigong by Ra Unnafer Amin, and it has movements and breathing exercises that you can do in there to two things. Like when it comes to Eastern quote unquote philosophy, a lot of people focus on this ability to calm you, like through meditation and stuff like that. And that is applicable, don't get me wrong. But one thing I like about this book in particular is he shows ways to enhance your life force too. So let's say if you're having confidence issues, well, there's breathing exercises and movements you can do in this book that you can use to raise your confidence levels. So you can be very offensive with it too. If you do the exercises in this book, and I have a few of them, but this gets into the subtle arts. But if you're doing that, it'll keep you well balanced mentally, emotionally to be able to take on anything that comes your way.
Yeah, bro.
You still there?
Oh no. Wait a minute. Oh wait. So there's a delay. You still talking about food delivery in my ear. But oh wait. Uh ultimately, bro, what I was gonna talk about is that, to me, meeting and talking with people is one of the better things about, what we do. Just because it's always fun to interact with customers. It's always fun to interact with new people. It's always fun to network and see what other people are doing.
Yeah. While you're saying that,
Yeah, there's that human aspect.
you got to congratulations. Engineering Your Life was congratulating you on your business. Uh-oh. Are we having audio issues again?
Dang. Look, bro, I can't lie. It's a delay going on. I have to figure something out. Yeah. I have to figure something out.
Okay.
Wait. Ooh. I think I might got it fixed.
You got it fixed?
Maybe. No, I don't have it fixed. I don't have it fixed. No. Look, all right.
All right. Well, while you're
Let me get out and come back up.
All right. Well, while he's figuring that out, let me pull up some of the comments, and within the next 15 to 20 minutes, we'll be kind of wrapping up. So let's see. My love letter to books. I thought your financial personality report was so insightful, helpful. Appreciate that. Y'all make sure y'all check your channel out. See, and I'll leave that up so when he comes back on. But let me get a swig of water. My mouth's getting a tad bit dry. Hold on. But yeah, I think where he is about to go, it sounds like he was about to talk about people and he likes meeting people. Oh, he's back. So let's see what we got. Okay, testing 1 2 1 2.
Ooh, I'm still having trouble hearing.
You have
definitely back on now.
Yeah, you're back on,
and I know you can hear me because I hear you talking.
Okay, are we good?
All right, boom.
We good?
No.
Actually, Yuli brings up a good point. She said you might still have the video playing separately on YouTube. I guess we'll get it eventually. But while he's figuring that out, if anyone else wants to hop on the show, feel free to hop on. Let me continue to go through these. I think she is referring to when he asked me about he asked me one of the questions, so I'm thinking that's what that's about. So I see we have a few more people that just joined us within the last 5 minutes. So let me know what y'all want to see as far as the next Financial Freedom Friday.
Wait,
Third time's a charm. What's up?
see, yeah.
You should be able to talk.
All right, boom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I couldn't hear him before. All right, bet, bet. Look, I had to go to the, the person who knows.
Uh,
Look,
uh,
'cause I
so
couldn't
your
hear you
wife,
out.
so your wife was putting you up on that game, huh?
Oh yeah, easy, easy, easy. Cause look, all right, now things can work. All right, bet, bet. So, yeah, what were you saying last? I'm sorry.
I was saying that you got someone congratulating you on your business. So I'm pulling
Oh,
up her comment right now.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, I appreciate it. It's something we've been doing for a while now. I I feel like we started everything a little bit after COVID started, and just hit the ground running.
Indeed. So yeah, before you start having technical difficulties, I think you were about to ask something else. You're saying you enjoy like meeting new people. That's when it
Yeah,
all kind
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was just talking about that because you were saying, you enjoy, actually picking people up versus just riding with food, and I can understand that because there is something about that human element of, actually interacting with, your fellow man and all that good stuff. And when you go to networking type, situations or just out randomly in the streets, you meet somebody and end up, networking with them. I met some of my best clients just in the line at a store or waiting to check out somewhere and just casual conversation, they listening to me, three people behind and just, oh wait, what you do? And next thing you know, new customer or a new business opportunity or a new stream of, I don't want to call it income, but just a new stream of opportunity that you didn't even know that could have been there.
you should trademark that. New stream of opportunity. Because opportunity can be a number of things.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because like I told you, I ran across people in the most, absurd situations. I ran into this lady, and she owns a business school, like owns the building, like it's like 10 classrooms, and they teach people how to, do certain things. And I just kind of randomly bumped into her. And when I randomly bumped into her, she, introduced me to a tax professional who introduced me to a bookkeeper who introduced me to somebody who makes websites. And so, all that stemmed from that one person. So, just being with her introduced me to a whole bunch of opportunities, not to mention people who actually teach in the classrooms. And
Mhm.
I haven't even tried to meet them people yet. Uh, so it's there for me to do if I so chose to.
This is tying into what season 2 of the Side Hustle Society podcast is about, which is a lead generation. And I think a lot of people assume like getting the new lead is you sit down and you give this presentation and then sell them on your services. And yeah, that's what's known as hard selling. But a lot of people don't know that if you master the art of soft selling, which is what you're doing, it's so effortless. It's so effortless, and a lot of leads wind up coming your way without you having to put that much work in. You just find yourself in these situations and you just know what to do while you're in them, and things just start working your way. I'm gonna get into that heavy in the podcast when it comes back later this month.
Yeah, bro, I ain't gonna, touch too much on it if you're gonna, save it for later. But I will say that, a lot of the times it's like a snowball effect. So once you get more and more people going, more and more people just so happen to add on because, everybody wants to do what's popular. And so if you the popular thing, then everybody wants to hop on. Uh, I will say though, one thing about that is when it comes time to do that, when the snowball comes, you have to do whatever it takes to make sure your reputation stays intact. Because even if your quality decreases, as long as your reputation stays the same, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got to guard that reputation, right?
Guard your reputation with your life.
Ray,
Yeah.
I, I'm, you know what? I got to do it. I wasn't gonna drop it, but I guess we're getting all 48 laws of power in there, huh?
Look, I don't know what number it is, but it's one that's the truth. Like I can't speak on all 48, but I definitely tell you that one is true. Number one is true, and the one about being careful what enemies you pick. Oh, and it also pays to not be around people who ain't going nowhere. Like are people who like anchors. That's what they call. They'll just leave you stuck in one spot, and you can what I'm saying, rise up above them a little bit, but they'll still make it so you can't get as high as you're supposed to get. So yeah, it's a lot of those. That book is very, very interesting, and it's very useful if you know how to apply the knowledge. But I think all knowledge should be that way.
Mhm.
Anything you look at, you should be able to take out what you can use and throw away what you can't.
Right, right. Plus, there's probably my favorite one. Well, I say favorite in the sense of I think it's the most applicable to modern business. It covers the whole thing with the all media is good media, and if
Mhm.
people are at least talking about you, that can be manipulated to your advantage. I mean, if people are talking shit about you, at least they're talking. And he
Right.
used the example of P.T. Barnum, who's the founder of the circus, and how no one was talking about his stuff. He would intentionally publish negative reviews on his criticizing his own acts, so people would get the conversation started, just to get the people talking.
Man, bro, look, I can't lie to you. Ooh, since you went there, I gotta go it. Cause tell
Apparently,
you what,
someone's loving the fact that we're talking about a book, so feel free to go in. I know
look,
I'll
bro. Nobody had more bad press than the dude who about to be president. All they did was talk smack about him, and now he about to be president. Like just that quick. Yeah. So negative press don't mean you can't make it far. Yeah.
Oh, he went
Press,
there. He went there.
negative press will definitely take you pretty far if you know how to make it work. Look, I saw something that said he would intentionally like mess his hair up just so people would have something to talk about. And like it's interesting, bro. Like, if you know how to really, really use certain laws, or at least the ones that apply. 'Cause look, bro, in the real world, the
I'm
first law.
assuming the law he abused was always entering endeavoring with boldness. And if you
Yeah,
can't do it, then
several of them.
just don't do the undertaking.
Several of them, several, bro. Look, a lot of people operate within certain rules that are just hidden from the rest of society. And if you can kind of tap into some of those things, then you can really learn how to operate. I tell people all the time, like law is another language. Like that's why they have a law book that you can't read because you're not a lawyer, and that's what you need the lawyer for, to interpret what that book says. Otherwise, if you could just read the law and it be what it is, you wouldn't need them to interpret it for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of stuff, bruh, is a game, and if you don't know the rules, then you're gonna lose.
You know what? I think that's actually a good note to end off on. Because when it comes to life in general or business, or learn the rules of the game so you can play by them and win.
Yeah, easy, easy. Learn the rules. Because if you don't learn the rules, and then nobody's going to teach you the rules for free. That's something I learned. Nobody's going to teach you the rules for free. Like if you want to learn the rules, even your best friend, somebody who's been helping you the whole time, like or I ain't gonna say your best friend, but somebody who is like a mentor or something like that. If they up and they trying to help you, they giving you $1 every day or whatever, the second you get a little bit more money than them, they're gonna be like, hold on, maybe I've been giving you too much. They're gonna try and make you go right back down. So yeah, definitely game is to be sold, not told.
What's the saying? The most expensive advice is free advice.
The most expensive advice is free, because it's gonna cost you in the long run. Every time, bro. Every time. Because I definitely try to take my share of shortcuts. And shortcuts are definitely momentary. Because in the end, you end up paying in the long run. Not every time. Not every time. Sometimes shortcuts actually work.
How about this? There's a good balance.
Yeah,
So try
sometimes shortcuts are good.
like be willing to go the distance, but if you see a shortcut and you've talked it over with some people who have been there before, they can confirm, oh yeah, that's a legitimate shortcut then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, bro, I appreciate you for, inviting me up.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you coming on the show, and everyone also enjoyed what you had to contribute to the conversation.
I appreciate it, bro. Thank you. I'm glad. Glad I could be of, some kind of use.
All right, I'll catch you later.
All right, bro.
Okay, everyone. So I see we're approaching the 2 hour mark. That's about the. I told myself these shows I don't want to go over 2 hours for the most part, so we'll go ahead and call it quits here. I don't see anyone else that is in the background in terms of wanting to come up. But yeah, I want to thank y'all for attending this Financial Freedom Friday. We're getting them back started. We're gonna keep them consistent, do them bi-weekly. I'm always open to topics that y'all want to hear covered. We talked about the gig economy this time. The next one, I'm probably going to talk about YouTube. But beyond that, let me know if y'all have any topics that y'all want me to cover in regards to it covering side hustles, ways of making money, content creation. We're here to essentially equip y'all with the tools y'all need to take control of your financial destiny. I know this is the side hustle society, but at the end of the day, the financial anatomy mission statement is a part of me. So I gotta say it. So I'll catch y'all in the next stream. Be safe and be profitable, everyone.